Welcome again to another day of CIMAS. Today is day 10, and today we're talking about brain breaks. So, brain breaks are something that I kind of dabbled in last year, and this year I am committed to 100%. So, let's talk briefly. What are brain breaks? Brain breaks are literally when you take a break in the content to do something completely different. And there's lots of definitions out there. And we'll kind of talk about some of the different ways that you can do them. But brain breaks are an opportunity to let the mind reset. They are a great way to build community, and they're a chance to transition. I really like them to transition from an activity that is bombing to something that I know is going to work. So there's lots of different reasons to use them. Um, I kind of want to talk about some of my favorites before I kind of dive into the wide variety of them. So these are I don't want to say top five, but these are the ones I kind of go to the most. The first is Silent Ball. So for Silent Ball, to be quite honest, the bigger the class, the better for this. The class will make a giant circle in the room, around the desks, through the desks, whatever it is, around the room, and there will be a ball. And there are three rules. They can play this game as long as they are able to, provided that one, nobody drops the ball, two, nobody speaks, and three, there is equity of throwing. In your younger classes, you might have to specify, from person to person, or once they start to play this, they kind of get that's a rule. And I usually give them 3 strikes unless we're crunched for time, and then I'll say like 1 strike. And they just throw the ball back and forth, and that's all there is to it. It's a really great community builder, and it really kind of it's probably the best one that I've seen that kind of resets the class. I love this game. Sometimes I'll let them play at the end of class if we finish a little early. And I've had kids come up to me before and say, Miss Patrick, can we please play Silent Ball today? It's one of the kids' favorites too. This next one is a quick one, The Wave. So in this one, you have, and hopefully I think I have a video that I can link you guys to. You have the students put their hands up in the air like they're creating a wave. And it goes from one end of the room to the other. And everyone has to be perfect. So when Jimmy puts his hands down, Johnny's got to put his hands up. And when they get really good at it, they can send the wave back. So it goes from like left end of the room to the right and then back. And it's really quick, and it doesn't take much. And a lot of the kids will kind of roll their eyes at it, but they really like it. They want to get it perfect. So that's another one of my favorites. This by far, hands down, is the favorite among everybody. It's called Would You Rather. And the way that I do it is I have a left side of the room and a right side of the room. So I'll say, if you would rather only ever get to eat chocolate candy, go to the left. And if you'd rather only get to eat fruit flavored candy like Skittles, go to the right. And they have to make a decision. And there are actually some really good lists that I'll link to you guys so that you can see those as well. This one, I'm going to be honest, you got to be careful with which class you do this one. I have a class that really enjoys it, but they almost get violent with it. And so I kind of have to decide whether or not it's worth it. But it's called Mingle Mingle. And the way that the kids do this is they literally walk around the room saying mingle, mingle over and over and over again until the teacher says groups of and inserts a number. And then they have to, as quickly as possible, find a group of that number and sit down on the floor. And the kids that don't get into a group have to do something. I like to say they have to turn in a circle 3 times. But sometimes they make them do push-ups or jumping jacks. So that's a fan favorite. And then Trading Places. This one is something that I like to do. I don't know. I like to do it quite often. And what we'll do is, I'll say, raise your hand if today you're wearing a blue shirt or a blue article of clothing, and everyone raises their hands. Swap places with somebody, and they have to swap. And this is actually a great way to I like to use this one if I have a hunch that my kids are having a bad day. Raise your hand if you skipped breakfast this morning, and then you know how many kids haven't eaten since the day before. Or raise your hand if you normally drink coffee and didn't get your coffee. Or raise your hand if you're having a bad day. Raise your hand if you are having a great day. And that kind of gives you a kind of look into the mindset of the class. So I kind of wanted to talk about how to find and create these brain breaks. The only things you really need for the brain break are the actual brain break itself and some kind of way to signal the brain break. I know a lot of teachers just count on themselves to do it, but I don't trust myself to do that. So I actually have an alarm on my phone, and you can't see that, but an alarm on my phone, and it's called Brain Break. And I've set it up to go off twice in every class, no matter what. And when that alarm goes off, the kids already know that it's a brain break, and they are ready for it because they're listening. They know that that bell's coming. So I've switched views to this document, and I'll link this to you. But it's kind of my library of brain breaks. So I'm really hoping that in this create along that I can benefit from you guys and can pull whatever brain breaks you find. So I've been putting together this list of different brain breaks, and I've tried to link to some kind of description, and I've categorized them by type and whether or not they're done in the target language. So I'll just run through these very quickly, and then I'll link it to you guys so that you can see these things. Ear, nose, switch. So they'll put one hand on their nose and one hand on their ear, and then they have to switch so that the other hand goes to the ear and the other hand goes to the nose. You really kind of need to watch the video to understand that one. It's a very fast one, and the purpose of that one of the great things about certain brain breaks, these physical ones, is that there's a switch across the body. And that's kind of the physical aspect of a brain break, is that when you require the body to think in a way that it's not used to thinking, then that automatically makes the brain stop what it's doing and focus on this new thing, which is that reset that we were talking about. The wave works the same way, because when they do the wave, their arms have to cross over their body. So there's that one. There's this one. I actually haven't done this one. Wita on Moore's Life or Death. I pulled this from somebody in one of our groups, and it can be done in the target language or in English. And it's essentially a TPRS thing where you start a storyline and then they have to decide whether or not this person lives or dies. So there's that one. Gestures, I've only done once or twice. In this one really works well if you do wear your keys or if you use sign language when you teach vocabulary. And for this one, someone will choose a gesture and they will make the gesture over and over again across the room until everyone is doing the gesture. This one, drawing, I'm gonna have to click the link on this one because I don't think I've actually done this one in a long time. So for drawing in this particular brain break, what you're going to do is you're going to this is very similar to some activities that I've done. You, the teacher, describe an image in the target language and the kids draw what they hear. Again, working with that physical movement of trying to do something. Same thing with silent ball, crossing the body in a different way that you're not used to. Math break. Oh my gosh, the kids groaned when I said this, but they get really into it. Simple math problems in the target language. I like to use whiteboards for this, so I'll write the question and answer on a whiteboard, and I'll repeat it to them verbally. They'll write their answer on a whiteboard, and then we'll compare. The mirror game, oh my gosh, I love this one, but you can't do it too often. In this one, this is another physical one. The kids try to mirror each other perfectly. If you've ever seen the episode of I Love Lucy where she and Harpo Marx do that beautiful scene, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Stump the teacher's a lot of fun, but the teacher's got to be willing to give up some control, and there are some days that I'm not willing to do that. The kids try to stump you by giving you an English word that you need to put into the target language, and they get 3 chances. Alphabet soup, the teacher gives a letter of the alphabet, and the student provides a word in the target language. It's a great way to see what kind of vocab they remember. 5-letter Latin word. This is another physical one. The students write a 5-letter or less Latin word on a partner back, and the partner tries to guess. The kids really like this one, but be aware if you have students with issues with like personal space or touching other students, you might need to adjust how you do this or adjust the expectations. Trading places and mingle, those are the ones that I talk about. Simon Says in the target language, another physical one, a great way to do it. Would you rather? We already talked about. Physical challenge, this is kind of that physical thing that I was talking about where you cross the body. It's also a meditation, and there are different ways to do this. One of the ways that we do it is that they have to stand on one leg. And then this other one, I'm quickly running out of time. I want to bring our attention really quick though to the 3 C's, of how this works. So brain breaks allow the mind to reset, and they keep the mind open to allow for more learning. And the kids really enjoy them. Additionally, it allows for kids to take a break, and that's absolutely needed. So please check out the brain breaks in the list, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with.